Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Look what I've got on the table. It's the newest pistol from Mossberg. It's not the first pistol from Mossberg, but it is the newest one. In the past they had a little 4-barrel pepper box, 22, and they called it the Brownie. And then of course they've had a number of shotguns that the ATF technically classified as a pistol, but they weren't really handguns. But this is the first one they've made in a long time, and it is actually truly a handgun, and it's meant for concealed carry. This is going directly at the market segment that the Glock 43 and many others like that are going after. So let's talk about this thing a little bit. Well, let's start out with, of course, it's unloaded. When you look at it, it sits here on my hand. It's not a very big gun. It's got a DLC finish on both the barrel and the slide, and it's a really nice looking finish. It's like a deep black, it's smooth, almost slick but not slippery. And the serrations on it are really robust. It's easy to get a hold of it, whether you want to do it from the front or the rear. It's really easy to get a hold of it and rack it, and the slide actually cycles relatively easily. It's a very well done re-entry into the handgun market, and I do believe this thing's going to take off. It's got a lot of cool features that we're going to talk about. One of them are dovetail 3-dot sights, really bright, easy to see 3-dot sights. It's also available in a version with true glow night sights, which are real nice. They're fiber optic and tritium. It comes in a version with a laser. So it's got a number of different variations on it. And there's one called I think it's called the Centennial Edition that's got some gold trim on it. So they're going out whole hog, going full in with a number of different variations on this. But they're all this same basic size. The capacity on it is 6 rounds with the flush magazine. And you notice it's a clear magazine with an orange follower. And they also have a 7-round extended magazine that comes with it, also clear with an orange follower. And by the way, there's also a version that comes with a crossbolt safety, which is more typical on a shotgun and things like that than it would be on a pistol, but that is one of the variations. And the mag release is reversible. It's not true ambidextrous, but it's reversible. Now these magazines are, causing some discussion. Clear polymer is sometimes not as durable. It tends to be a little more brittle than colored polymers due to the way you have to make it. And of course, with any new gun, the magazines tend to be scarce in the beginning. The gun comes out, it comes with however magazines it comes with, and you can't get any more. So do you not want to get this gun because it has clear magazines and because they might be scarce? Nah, I got lots and lots of MC1 magazines. They just happen to look like Glock magazines. This is a Glock 43 flush magazine. Works perfectly. This is a Glock 43 extended magazine, which isn't really extended. It's just got a pinky extender on it, but it holds the same capacity. The Glock magazines with the extender don't extend the capacity. These work perfectly, and they even fits reasonably well. So if you have a Mossberg MC1, you have access to a ton of magazines for it. They just won't be clear. That's actually kind of a cool design feature, so that they made it where it takes Glock magazines, and we actually did fire it with the Glock magazines, and we fired the Glock with the MC1 magazines. They're fully functional and interchangeable. The sights, that's another one. If you wanted to change out the sights, a lot of guns, they're either difficult to change, these aren't, they're dovetailed, or they're difficult to get, especially on a new gun. Not with this one. This is our SIG profile sights. So you're going to be able to get sights for it if you don't buy it with, let's say, the True Glows that you want, that you wanted, but you couldn't find it. You go buy True Glows aftermarket. They're going to be easy to get. So when they're doing the design on this thing, they really thought through the aftermarket support and the consumer base that wants to modify it. And the decision to make it work with Glock magazines was really a stellar one. Whether you like Glocks or not, their magazines are known to be reliable, and they're all over the place. Now, of course, they weren't when the 43 first came out, but by now they're everywhere. So they're easy to get a hold of, and of course that's on 9mm. Now earlier I did mention that this is targeting the concealed carry market, and you can see it's relatively small. It's 6.25 front to back, it's 4.3 top to bottom, and it's 1.03 thick. So it actually fits right into that same territory that the Glock 43 would for either pocket carry or kind of deep conceal inside the waistband or ankle carry. And it's light, 19 ounces, so it's not a heavy gun. And with this stainless steel slide and this DLC coating, it's going to hold up well to being up against your body, especially if you're down in Florida where 9 to 10 months out of the year it's hot and steamy. It's just a well-designed gun. Even looking at the grip contour in the serrations, it's got this nice texturing that's aggressive enough that when you've got a hold of the gun, it stays right in your hand where you want it to. But it doesn't bite into you, it doesn't hurt you. Even this little mini finger groove is comfortable. Now, one negative is that it does not have replaceable back straps. This is the configuration it's in, this is the configuration it's in. But the serrations and the pattern is actually quite nice and quite comfortable. It kind of looks like it's replaceable. You know, it's kind of got that look to it, but it's not. It's all one piece. But I found it to be real comfortable, whether I had the flush mount magazine in it, and you know, you had finger underneath it, or the pinky extender. And the pinky extender integrates well. Now, they took a cue from like the XDM series, where the extenders blend into the grip profile and fits in your hand, gives you that kind of 3-finger grip. So for range day, you know, you've got the full 3-finger grip, and for the ankle, you've got the lower profile and the shorter grip, easier to conceal. So let's talk about the trigger a little bit. Number one, it's a flat trigger. And you know, that's kind of an unusual feature on most of the carry guns, but this is one of the things that people tend to go after and replace. There's a lot of people that like the flat profile trigger and will spend $150, $200 to get a flat profile trigger. This gun just comes with it. It does have the toggle as part of the drop safety mechanism, just like the Glocks. There's a little bit of take up, but it's real smooth. And then you hit a wall. There's a little bit of creep, and you've got about a 5.5 pound break. So it's a very nice trigger, and it's a smooth trigger. The reset is a decent reset. You know, it's not the shortest out there, but this would be all the way out. But it's actually quite a nice reset, and you're right on the wall at that point. A little bit of creep, and then the break. No stacking, so the pull was even throughout it, but there's just a little bit of creep to the wall, a little bit of vagueness. But we've had no trouble at the range keeping this thing on target, operating the trigger. It's a comfortable trigger. The flat profile works quite well. And you know, that again, that's one of the things the aftermarket tends to go after right away is, you know, swapping out the triggers. There's whole aftermarket segments that specialize in flatty triggers, and you get this right out of the box. It does also have a 3.4-inch barrel, which is, you know, kind of the typical size for this type of gun. A few of the other things to look at on it, it doesn't have a lot of the tactical features. So it doesn't have, you know, an undercut, doesn't have serrations, doesn't have a rail. I would imagine fairly soon, like Crimson Trace will come out with a trigger guard laser for this, just like they do with the Glocks. And there's, you know, not a whole lot of controls or extraness on it. It's just a nice, smooth, clean, well done gun, and it even comes from the factory with the coloring and the stamping. And that's something a lot of aftermarket people will go ahead and do that, and this comes with it. And it's just well done, and it looks nice, but it doesn't look tacky. I found it comfortable. It's nice to hold. It's easy to see the sights. The other 3-dot sights are just really easy to see. It's going to be an easy to live with gun, and it's easy to shoot it well. So if this is a gun that you pick out, I think it'll do well with it. Next step is, okay, it's time to clean and maintain this thing. Well, that's actually fairly easy too, and it's different. Now, I do tend to ding guns for difficult takedown procedures or excessively weird takedown procedures. This one's different, but it's not weird. You lock it back like you would any other gun. That's the first step of the takedown process. And this is where it gets different, but again, not difficult. They have what's called their safe takedown procedure. And what you do is you push this little button, it's a little ridged button, and that pushes the striker plunger down a little bit, and the back drops off. Now, when you've got it at an angle to your hands, it's easy to actually pop this off into your hand and not have it drop on the floor. It's just more difficult to do that when you're trying to show it on video. And then you reach underneath, grab the striker and pull the striker out and set that aside. Unlock it, take it apart. And one thing you'll notice I didn't do is pull the trigger. That's one of the features. A lot of people don't like to have to pull the trigger. This one here, you don't have to. No tools are needed to do that. This little button is easy to push. It's easy to get on it. So overall, I'm not going to ding this takedown procedure just for being different, because it's actually quite easy to do and not difficult at all to live with. Captive dual recoil spring. And here's your 3.4-inch DLC coated barrel with a nice polished feed ramp. So overall, it's just a well-constructed barrel, and when you look at the machining in here, Everything is smooth, well machined, there's no burrs, the coating is even and covers the entire thing. And even though we've shot it, we're not even seeing any wear on it. DLC, which is a diamond-like coating, is actually a very strong and durable coating and holds up well. You might see a few oil marks, but that's not actually damage, it's just a oil mark. And then of course you have your drop safety plunger, so just like a Glock, this is a drop safe weapon. And by the way, the guide rod is metal, which is also a nice feature. It's got a little bit of weight to it. It's not significant, but a little bit of weight to it. And the barrel is very well machined, conventional rifling, very well machined and smooth. And it's got a bit of a crown at the end. So, it's just nicely manufactured. Here's the frame. Your simple, typical striker. You've got extended guides at the front. You've got dual guides at the rear on the one side and a single on the other, and that's to make room for the fire control group. And if you look at the fire control group, it's kind of Glock-ish. I haven't pulled the fire control group apart completely, but it's got some of the characteristics of the way the Glock fire control works with the connector there, and the star-shaped. So it's a similar fire control to the Glock overall, and there you got your little protrusion for the drop safety. I would say it's not a copycat of the Glock, but it looks like they've taken all the different things that are out there on the market, taking the things that seemed overall to work the best, and integrated those features into this gun, from the sights to the magazines to the way they've designed the whole thing from end to end. So that's actually fairly easy. Grab the slide, drop the barrel in, get the guide rod in place, snap in, slide it back on the frame, and knock it back. This is, up until this point, if you've put together a striker-fired gun, a Glock, and XDM, it's all the same up to this point. Here's where it gets a little bit different. You take the striker and drop the striker back in the channel, which, by the way, while you've got it apart, would be an opportunity to clean the striker channel, something that's frequently not done on guns and can cause light strikes. And it's easy to do on this, but just make sure when you do it that you don't oil it. You want to clean the striker channel and then dry it, but the striker channel needs to stay clean. The next thing you need to do is you need to push the striker down a little bit in order to get, there's two grooves here, and there's two ears right there. And those ears need to go into that groove. And that might be the part that would appear to be going to be difficult. It's actually not. I mean, you could push down on the striker, you could push it with a tool, but you can also, and this is going to be a little cumbersome to do on camera, but if you were doing it for real, you would turn it to where it's optimal for you. But you take the edge of this piece here and use it to just kind of push the striker down and pop it in place. Now, it won't come back out. It's not going to fall out, because what's happened is it's caught on the striker, and that's what this little button does. This little button pushes the striker down out of the way so that you can pop it off. So once it's together, it's going to stay together. Now, what we found with this at the range is the grip's just a little bit fatter than a Glock 43, and in this case, at least for my hand, that's a good thing. The Glock 43 is a nice gun, it's easy to shoot, but the grip being just kind of a flat oval makes it a little bit tougher to get a good firing grip on it and get it where I want it in my hand. Whereas with this, it was just easy. You grab it in your hand, line it up on the target, and start putting holes where you want them to go. You're looking at a company that hasn't made a pistol in many, many years, an actual true handgun pistol in many, many years, coming back onto the market, it looks like they got it right. These are available on the street for around $350. They're out, they're available. Now, of course, initially they're going to pop in and out of stock as they ship and get snapped up. But right now, even though they just came out and they're going to a little bit scarce just from initial supply, street prices around $350. It may go down from that when they get a little bit more common. And for $350, you're getting a really good high-quality gun. There aren't very many truly good quality guns in that price territory, and this is definitely one of them. So if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, check us out on Facebook and Patreon, and have a great day. Thank you.